What if the thing you are trying so hard to hide is the very thing holding the door open for you? Most people wake up every day feeling one step behind an invisible standard, not good enough yet, not ready yet, still fixing themselves. That quiet pressure sits in the chest and whispers that today is not the day, that someday will be safer, that perfection will protect you from judgment, failure, regret. And so you wait, you polish, you delay, you tell yourself you are being responsible, careful, disciplined. But deep down, there is a tension you cannot ignore, a sense that life is moving and you are standing still, rehearsing instead of living. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are trapped in a story that sounds logical but feels heavy. The story says you must arrive whole before you are allowed to begin. That confidence comes first. That clarity appears before action. That mistakes mean something about your worth. This story feels comforting because it gives you an excuse to stay safe. But safety has a cost, and you feel it every time you scroll past someone doing the thing you keep postponing. Every time you think, that could have been me. Every time another year passes and nothing truly changes. Perfection promises control, but what it delivers is fear dressed up as discipline. It keeps you busy adjusting the surface while your potential waits untouched underneath. You start measuring yourself against an imaginary version of who you should be, and you always come up short. That gap creates shame. Shame drains energy, and drained energy makes movement feel impossible. This is how dreams slowly go quiet without ever officially dying. Here is the part no one tells you. Imperfection is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. The human brain does not learn through flawless execution. It learns through feedback, through friction, through small failures that teach faster than any perfect plan ever could. When you move while unsure, your brain adapts. When you stumble, it recalibrates. This is not motivational language. This is how learning works. Growth is a response to stress, not comfort. Every imperfect action creates information. Information creates direction. Direction creates confidence, not the other way around. Confidence does not arrive as a gift for being ready. It is built as a reward for being willing. Willing to look foolish, willing to be seen mid-process, willing to let reality shape you instead of waiting to feel prepared in your head. Think about the moments that changed you. They were not clean. They were not polished. They were uncomfortable and uncertain and real. That is because identity is forged in motion. When you act despite doubt, you send a powerful signal inward. You tell yourself that you are someone who moves forward without guarantees. That signal changes how you see yourself, and how you see yourself determines what you believe is possible. Imperfection creates momentum because it removes the pressure to perform and replaces it with permission to explore. It turns fear into curiosity. It shifts the question from, will I fail, to what will I learn? And learning compounds quietly, relentlessly, while perfection waits for conditions that never arrive. You do not need to erase your flaws to move forward. You need to use them, the hesitation, the uncertainty, the rough edges. They are proof that you are at the edge of growth, not the end of your ability. The crack you keep trying to seal is where light gets in, where movement begins, where life responds. Stop asking yourself when you will be ready. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision followed by action. The opportunity you are searching for does not live on the other side of perfection. It lives inside the first imperfect step you are avoiding right now. That step you keep postponing does not stay neutral while you wait. It quietly turns into a cost. Every day you delay, the mind learns a dangerous lesson. It learns that fear makes the decisions. It learns that comfort is more powerful than intention. Over time, this becomes an identity. Someone who almost acts, someone who understands everything but does nothing. That identity hardens, and breaking it later takes more effort than moving now. The brain is efficient. It wires itself around repeated behavior. When you hesitate again and again, hesitation becomes familiar. Familiar feels safe. Safe feels right, even when it is slowly shrinking your world. This is why waiting feels easier than moving, even when waiting hurts more. Pain that is predictable feels safer than risk that might change everything. But predictable pain still steals your future, one quiet moment at a time. This is where urgency matters, not the loud kind, the honest kind. You do not have endless time to become the person you keep imagining. Energy fades when it is unused. Desire weakens when it is ignored. The longer you wait, the more convincing the excuses sound. Not because they are true, but because repetition gives them authority. This is how potential expires without ever being challenged. Imperfect action breaks this cycle immediately. Not tomorrow, not when motivation spikes. The moment you move, something shifts internally. You interrupt the pattern. You create friction in the old story. The nervous system notices. The brain updates. You go from observer to participant, from thinker to actor. That shift is powerful because it proves something to you that no affirmation ever can. You are capable of movement even when fear is present. Fear does not disappear when you act. It changes shape, it loses control. It becomes information instead of a command. Each time you move with fear still in your chest, your tolerance expands. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What felt impossible becomes familiar. This is exposure in its purest form. Growth through contact, not avoidance. The world does not reward perfection. It rewards responsiveness, the ability to adjust, to recover, to keep going after mistakes. Every meaningful skill is built in public failure. Every strong identity is built in private discomfort. The people you admire did not wait until doubt left them. They moved while carrying it. That is why they grew faster. That is why their confidence looks effortless now. You are seeing the result, not the process. You are closer than you think, but closeness is dangerous if it never turns into movement. Being almost ready can keep you stuck longer than being completely lost. At least when you are lost, you move. When you are almost ready, you keep preparing. Preparation feels productive, but without action, it is just fear wearing a smarter outfit. There is a moment when understanding must turn into decision. This is that moment. Not because everything is aligned, but because alignment comes after movement. The version of you who acts imperfectly today creates options for the version of you tomorrow. The version of you who waits creates limits. These paths feel similar at first, quiet, internal, but they separate fast. You do not need a breakthrough. You need a break in pattern. One action that contradicts the old story. One move that proves you are no longer negotiating with fear. That single act has momentum hidden inside it. Momentum compounds faster than motivation ever will. Imperfection is not something to overcome. It is something to use. It keeps you flexible. It keeps you learning. It keeps you in motion. And motion is the only place where change happens. The door is not locked. It never was. You have been standing in front of it, waiting to feel ready while your hand was already on the handle. Every step you take imperfectly sends a signal deeper than you realize. It tells your mind, your body, your spirit that you are capable. That small motion, trembling as it may feel, carries proof. Proof that you are someone who does not wait for certainty to act. Proof that you are not defined by hesitation, by fear, by waiting for a flawless moment that will never arrive. That proof accumulates quietly, building a momentum invisible to anyone but yourself. And momentum is a force you cannot bargain with. Once it begins, it changes the rules. The truth is that identity is not a concept. It is behavior in motion. Who you are emerges from what you repeatedly do, not from what you endlessly plan. Each imperfect choice shapes your brain, your instincts, your intuition. It rewires you for courage, for creativity, for resilience. It teaches the mind that mistakes are data, not shame, that failure is information, not a verdict, that the world responds to movement, not perfection. Every delay reinforces the old story. Every imperfect action rewrites it. Do you feel how the stakes are rising? Every day spent waiting strengthens a version of you that will settle for almost. That version whispers, someday is enough, while quietly shrinking your world. The gap between who you are and who you could be widens with every pause. Opportunity does not linger for the cautious. It flows toward those who engage, who risk, who stumble and keep moving. The cost of inaction is no longer abstract. It is real. You can measure it in lost time, in unseen possibilities, in experiences that never arrive. But action does not have to be perfect to be powerful. A single imperfect step breaks the weight of waiting. It interrupts the pattern of fear. It sparks a chain reaction inside you that cannot be ignored. When you move before you are ready, you force the brain to adapt. You force the mind to trust itself. The body learns that it can handle more than it imagined, and the heart discovers that courage grows in action, not in comfort. This is not theory. It is the way growth, confidence, and mastery are built. Step after step, stumble after stumble, you create a new identity. Every time you act, every time you risk being seen with flaws still visible, you redefine what is possible. You show yourself that the standard you feared was never a ceiling. It was a shadow meant to keep you from moving. And once you begin, once you take the first imperfect action, that shadow shrinks. You realize that movement itself is the path. Movement itself is the reward. The version of you waiting for perfect conditions is a story you can stop believing in. The version of you moving with imperfection is unstoppable. Imagine the power contained in one decision to act. One step taken today compounds into skills, confidence, relationships, opportunities, and momentum you cannot yet see. Imperfection is not weakness. It is leverage. It is the mechanism that transforms hesitation into mastery. It is the fuel that converts fear into drive. And the window is open now. You can step through it. You can become someone who does not wait, who does not hesitate, who does not let fear dictate the terms of life. The world does not honor the flawless. It honors the relentless. The ones who move when they are unsure, who act when they feel inadequate, who embrace the crack, the rough edge, the flaw. Oh, that is where growth lives. That is where progress hides. That is where identity is forged. The opportunity is not on the other side of perfection. It is right here in this imperfect movement, right here in this willingness to act despite doubt. Right now you can take the step that changes everything. And once you do, there is no going back to waiting. Every moment you hesitate, the world moves without you. Every chance you let pass quietly reshapes your life in ways you cannot reverse. Fear whispers that waiting is safe. Comfort tricks you into thinking preparation is progress. But preparation without action is nothing more than delayed living. The cost of waiting is higher than any risk you imagine. Each day that passes while you linger in readiness compounds the weight on your shoulders, the invisible toll on your spirit. You feel it as tension, as restlessness, as a gnawing sense that life is slipping through your fingers. That gnawing is truth speaking, telling you that something must change. The people who accomplish what others call impossible are not fundamentally braver. They are not flawless. They are simply willing to move before certainty arrives. Their courage is forged in action, not in waiting. Every step they take, however flawed, becomes proof that progress does not require perfection. The mind absorbs this truth faster than words ever could. It rewires your perception of what is achievable. Action teaches resilience in a way reflection never can. Momentum builds silently, quietly, inside the person who dares to move despite fear. And momentum is unstoppable once it begins. Understand this. Hesitation is contagious to the self. One delay leads to another. One excuse grows into a pattern. And patterns, once established, dictate identity. You start believing you are someone who waits, who holds back, who never starts because the conditions are never ideal. That belief seeps into every choice. Every opportunity becomes risk. Every risk becomes justification for further delay. The cycle feels logical, but it is destructive. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to break. Movement, even when imperfect, interrupts this cycle. It creates cracks in the identity built on inaction. One imperfect step tells the mind, the body, the spirit that control lies in doing, not in waiting. It transforms fear into information. It turns hesitation into energy. It rewires the nervous system to respond to possibility instead of paralysis. Each stumble becomes a lesson. Each failure becomes leverage. You are no longer waiting for the right moment. The moment becomes right because you are moving. The act of action is what generates alignment, not the other way around. Do not underestimate the power of small steps. The brain treats each attempt as proof of capability. Every imperfect move strengthens confidence. Every choice to act weakens fear. Every moment of courage compounds in ways that cannot be measured immediately, but are undeniable over time. Identity follows behavior, not the other way around. Step after step, stumble after stumble, you are becoming the person who acts, who takes risks, who embraces the imperfect journey instead of avoiding it. This is how mastery begins. This is how resilience is built. Now, recognize that opportunity never waits. The window does not linger. Conditions will never be perfect. Waiting for them is a silent trap, a promise of safety that delivers stagnation. What you call flaws, doubts, and mistakes are not obstacles. They are the mechanism of transformation. The discomfort you feel is the signal that growth is near. The uncertainty that scares you is the doorway to strength. The hesitation you resist is the prelude to momentum. Every second you linger in doubt, the stakes rise. Every second you act despite fear, the world begins to shift in your favor. The choice is immediate. Step through imperfection and claim movement. Take the step that frightens you, that feels messy, that cannot be guaranteed. That step carries more power than planning, preparation, and waiting combined. It is a signal that you are no longer negotiating with fear. It is the declaration that you are a participant, not a bystander. It is the ignition of a chain reaction that reshapes skill, confidence, and possibility simultaneously. The door to growth was never locked. It was waiting for you to move. The crack was always there. Now is the moment to push through it, to use imperfection as leverage, and to finally become unstoppable.